So, have you ever been invited to a murder mystery party and the character you're assigned is the gold digging wife of the victim? And you know that you need to go there looking hot as hell and just like the kind of person who would murder her husband for a check. So, obviously, you have to go on Net-a-Porter, look for the perfect Black Widow dress, and you come across gorgeous little piece by Versace, which is already so fitting because, like, if Armani dresses the wife, then Versace dresses the mistress, and nothing is a bigger fuck you pay me than like Versace, I think. And find this beautiful dress. It's from the Spring 21 collection. It's this beautiful black little A-line thing with a ruffle at the bottom, and it's got this beautiful like bra detail with the Versace little emblem in the middle and some gold hardware at the side. And it's got double straps and it's so sexy and it's so hot. And you're clicking on it and you want to buy it, but they don't have your size. And that's literally the only thing stopping you from buying the 70,000 rand dress. So what else do you have to do but just make a version of your own? Because that happened to me too. I am trying to become a better person this year. So number one is buying less clothes in general. Actually, I'm just trying to buy no clothes ever. Number two is I have a disgusting pile of fabric that I've been hoarding for almost 5 years. Like, it is so big. Like, it fills up my garage, it fills up my cupboards. I've got like, I'm actually even looking at it now. There's like 6 boxes just stuffed with fabric. There's some more stuff off to the side here that you don't want to see. It looks so bad. So one of my goals is that I want to be making all my own clothes this year, and I want to only use the stuff I have because I have so much stuff and it'd be so wasteful to buy anything more. Like, I have so many zips, I've got buttons, I've got beads, I've got so much denim for no reason, I've got all kinds of fabric. So obviously I went through my stash and I had this really nice black satin, and obviously I wanted to keep the dress black like the original, which is also good because I had some white satin left over. And then when I was looking through the Spring 21 collection, I saw that they had another version of this dress, like in multicolors, and I really liked how they did that little over bra top in orange on this one piece. So I kind of wanted to recreate that. I think it kind of, that little over bra thing reminds me of like a Regency Spencer or some of the styles of Spencers that I've seen in fashion plates from the Regency era. And I thought it would be nice to make that as a separate item so that I would get double the wear out of everything, so that I would have one little black dress and then I would also have this cute little Regency Spencer bralette thing that I could wear over my other clothes and just get multiple use out of that, and that would also just be a bit more sustainable. First step was just trying to do like a rough sketch of it. I went through as many images as I could find to try and get an idea. So obviously there's a zip at the back and a lot of the flare comes off to the hips, even though I kind of want to add a bit higher just because I don't like my hips being out like that. And then I was also looking at that ruffle, and it looks like it's a flounce, which is the style of cutting fabric where you basically cut it in a circle and then it ruffles itself, so you don't have to do any gathering and stuff. But I didn't think I had enough fabric because I'm using scraps, obviously. I also decided to add sleeves to the dress just because, one, modesty. Two, one of the things in my quest to be more sustainable is also trying to figure out how to make all my clothes last longer. And the thing that I've recently learned in like my studies of historical fashion is that like a good thing to do is like layering. And so basically, because one of the worst things we do to our clothes that make them, well, that shorten their lifespans is like washing them a lot, especially because like modern washing machines are quite harsh, as well as like our modern detergents, they often remove the color from things and stuff. So a thing I'm into right now is wearing lots of undergarments. I'm like really into like slip dresses and even just like wearing vests and stuff, so that I'm sweating onto like these items that are a bit more durable and that I care less about the appearance of than like my outer garments. And then that way I'm not washing my clothes as much. And it's a bit hard to wear a shift or a slip dress or anything when you've got something that's strapless. So that's why I'm very into sleeves as well. So I just added little cap sleeves because I also didn't want a dramatic sleeve. I think part of the appeal of the dress is sort of having that nice like sort of straight line going down. So I just added a small cap sleeve. And then also for the bra cup, I kind of wanted a bit more texture than what I saw in the photo. And I just thought it would be nice to have like a little bit of like a ruffled bra cup. And I think, yeah, that was about most of my additions and changes. And then obviously the first step was I had to get my 2 assistants to help me, and they were so helpful. So helpful. And I started with the pattern process. I just went, I used a torso block that I had drafted last year, which was a bit of a mistake because it was a block I had made last year before I lost quite a lot of weight. So I ended up having to remove a lot of fabric and stuff from the waist seam, which was really annoying because I was working on a limited amount of fabric. And then I also had first started by trying to trace out my Regency from my torso block, but then I kind of realized that that would end up being like, I don't know, I just didn't think that was going to be as effective. And earlier in the week, I discovered a really great pattern for a Regency stays. I'll link them down below. And it basically works out really well because you use a very small amount of fabric, but you just have your center back seam on the straight edge and you have your center front seam on the bias, so you get super great stretch out of it and you're not having to waste as much fabric, and also the fit is really good. And also the other thing is that looking at the runway photos, I really liked how like compressed and how full of cleavage like the model looks in that, and I also wanted that for myself. And then I pretty much eyeballed my pattern for the bra cup because it's mostly just supposed to peek, though I did think at first that I wanted to stuff it just to get more cleavage again. I got out the last bit of black satin I have because I didn't have a lot of other black material because like Calciprese, I'm not really into like neutral colors. And then I had some white satin luckily for the bra cups and the hem piece as well. And then I wanted to do my little Spencer in orange just like the other model's photo, and because also I had a bunch of orange satin left over from when I'd made Benzo's outfit for her music video. I'll put the link down below. And then I started pinning everything to the fabric, and then I realized that I did not have as much fabric as I thought I did, and I was going to run out of fabric because also I wanted to line the dress just for added structure and strength, and also so that I wouldn't have to finish any of the seams and save myself work. But I did not have enough fabric left over to do a copy of each dress piece, so I had to just trace it out up until the bodice piece. So the bodice of my dress will be lined, but the skirt won't be. And then I still had to worry about the ruffle because I like a very full ruffle, and I do not mind sitting down and like ruffling for a really long time. Like, I don't mind at all. But I really was left to scrap, so I had to just draw a bunch of blocks. I made them 10 centimeters tall and then whatever distance I could get, and I was able to get about 2.6 meters out of that, which isn't as much as I wanted because the entire hem of my skirt was about 160 centimeters. I sewed everything up together, that went fine. I did a little fitting, and then at that point I realized my neckline was a little bit too high, but I was really struggling to consider whether I should lower it because I still really want that bra cup to peek through like in the photo, but I didn't want to mess with the neckline because I already kind of had it in such a perfect fitting way, and I wasn't going to go repattern or anything, and I was out of fabric as well. So I just cut into it like with no forethought, and it was such a mistake because I ended up with so much gaping, but what could you do? And then I sewed up my lining pieces. I hemmed it up, which was also another mistake just because it added bulk at my waist seam, and you don't really want that. But I think it might actually help because I did the waist seams quite close together and there's a bit of stress on it, and I think it might act as a waist tape, but we'll see once I wear it out tonight for an extended period of time. And then yeah, I attached my lining to the dress, and then I tried it on again. Everything seemed sort of fine, bar the gaping at the neckline. And then I added the sleeves. The sleeves are fine. I went with a cap sleeve, obviously, which was really simple to sew. And then I hemmed that up by hand because I don't like visible top stitching. Plus, I really like hand stitching when it's like small stuff outside of the garment. And then yeah, I added the sleeves. And then after I'd done the sleeves, I started getting a little bit of project fatigue. I think I was also just a bit demotivated because of the gaping at the neckline. And I had to add a dart on each side of the neckline. And I didn't really like that because that's not the design I made. And it just made me feel like a failure. And I was getting very demotivated, and I just felt like I didn't want to work. So then I watched this Kathy Hay video on like how to finish all your sewing projects every single time. And then I was pumped up again, and I was like, you know what? Let's move. It doesn't have to be the exact dress, but it can still be a dress I want. And then the power went out. So I went to sleep. And then when I woke up, the power went out again. And I was just like, what the hell, dude? Like, why? Who is fighting me? And I strongly considered hand stitching some of the stuff that I could, because I still had to do the bra cups by hand, and I could have maybe hand stitched the Spencer, but then I was also like, no, I'm not doing that. And then once the power was back, I was pumped again. I was, get it, we're going Versace Heidi, I don't need nobody. And then I started with the ruffle. This part was actually pretty simple and very easy. So I stitched all the pieces together, I pressed them, and then because I wanted a bit of weight, because I just feel like it's always good to have weight at your hem because it just helps with the way the dress hangs and stuff. So I added fusible interfacing to it. So I had to I don't know, like 2.5 meters of fusible interfacing, which was so much fun. And then I had to cut out a 2.5 meter strip of my white fabric, also more fun. It just got a bit tedious because at that point I was just doing a lot of straight lines. And then I had so much fun trying to turn out this really long tube, which was actually kind of difficult because the black side of the fabric has now been stiffened with interfacing, and it just was not wanting to move that easily. But luckily I got it out, and then I ironed it. And when I ironed it, I tried to make sure that I pushed as much of the white fabric out to the bottom so that it would peak. And then when I started hand gathering, I actually hadn't realized that my ruffle was not going to be as long as I had thought it was. So I had gathered it so fully and I'd pulled it so much, and I ended up gathering it to like 1.5 meters, which is way shorter than I think it was even less than 1.5 meters, but it was just much shorter than obviously the hem of my skirt, so I had to undo that. So then what I ended up doing was dividing my gathering panel into 4 pieces, and then I matched it up to every quarter of the dress, and then I just gathered in between each section. I didn't film any of this because I was kind of like really stressed at this point about how my ruffle was gonna look, and I didn't want to look like an idiot on camera. But it ended up working out, and I'm actually pretty okay with it. And yeah, it still looks really cute, and the white peeked out from the bottom like I liked. So then I moved on to my bra cups. So I cut out some batting because I wanted to stuff the bra cups. I just cut it about 1 centimeter in the pattern I'd made it. Then I cut out the normal pattern twice on a layer of satin, and then I sort of guessed, and I gathered that all by hand to match the normal pattern piece. And then I tested out the one without any filling, and I put that on the one breast, and then I tested outside the other, and then I filled the other one and I put that on the other boob, and I ended up really liking how it looked without stuffing, which was very surprising to me. And it took me a while to think about if this was what I really wanted, but also considering the fact that I'd made them quite big just because I wanted like room to play. I was gonna add a lot of bulk as well to my boob area, and I was also gonna wear this with a bra, and I'm very conscious about like all these lines happening under my dress, so I ended up not filling it. And I ended up also very happy with how these little bra cups looked, and I think maybe later on another project I'll do is try to make like a cool little gathered cup bra, like a little ruched bra. I really like how it looked. It feels like a cloud, like I feel like I've got seashells on me, like the Little Mermaid or something. This was when I started to feel much better about the whole project finally, and I wasn't that stressed, and I wasn't that mad even about my dots at the bust anymore. And oh my god, I'm losing light. Let me finish. So then now that I was happy with the dress, all that I had left to do on the dress was to basically, I think it was just to do the closure, do another fitting to make sure everything fit right. So then I moved on to my Spencer. That was the easiest part of this project, and I wish I had started with that because I think I would have felt a lot more motivated. And obviously it was just, I pinned everything together, and then I sewed the 2 pieces right side to right side. And my plan was to have it close with hooks and eyes at the back, sort of like a bra. My first fitting, I realized that the armhole, well, the arm side was just a bit off, and it was just sort of restricting movement. And the straps were a bit too thick, so they ended up falling off. So I just cut into those a bit, and I made the arm side a little bit lower, which is a bit funny because usually the higher up your arm side is, the more movement you have for some reason. But not this time. But I think also just because of the nature of it being cut on the bias and stuff complicates stuff. I made some bias binding for it, and then Cotton decided to really bother me, so I had to give him a piece, and he played for it for 2 minutes until he realized that like I was not paying any attention to him. I stitched the one side to the front of the thing, and then I sat down, put on some Sophia Nagard because I just recently discovered her, and then did some hand sewing for the rest of the night. So I hand sewed my binding to the Spencer, and then I hand sewed in the little D-rings, and then because I had an invisible zipper and lining, I decided I didn't want to do my zipper by machine because I, to this day, still don't know how to do an invisible zipper, and I'm very unwilling to learn. But recently I watched this one Sewstein video where she recreated Audrey Hepburn's dress from Breakfast at Tiffany's, and she said that in the 1940s they used to put their invisible zippers by hand, and I was like, that's so much better because there's so much control. Because the main thing with an invisible zipper is that you want your seams to overlap it and cover it. Which is lame because like if you have a zipper, just wear a zipper, and if you don't want a zipper to be seen in a garment, choose another closure. Hooks and eyes, buttons, snap studs. Like, dude, why? And also I hate invisible zippers because they are the weakest of zippers. Because number one, you can't get an invisible zipper in metal. I just don't think it works. So it's always gonna be plastic, and number one, plastic and nylon zippers are always kind of pathetic. At some point they will fail you, and they're such a bitch to replace because you kind of just have to remove the whole thing if it breaks and just put in a new one, and I just find it so troublesome. And the other thing about invisible zippers is that they get stuck on fabric a lot, and this is now a zipper at the back of my dress, and obviously most people don't, and I get dressed by myself, so I'm always concerned with how accessible things are when I wear them. So that was just a thing that annoyed me about the process. But yeah, I ended up sewing the invisible zipper in, And then Calciprees, I was done, and yeah, and this is my dress. Anyway, so yeah, what's the time? Fuck. 5:20 now, so I need to leave the house so that I have enough time to go get a gift for the hostess or like a party favor, I guess. And yeah, arrive there on time. The party starts at 6. So yeah. Anyways, thanks for watching so far. If you've been watching, I'm actually really happy with how this came out. I think I look great. It really is like a lot of the stuff I wanted is happening. Like I'm held so tightly right now. Like wow, my posture. So I'm trying to like look in the mirror because like wow, like I don't like who is she? Damn, I love it. Like oof, I feel secure. I feel so held. It's crazy. It's not exactly the image, but also that would be plagiarism. So that's good. I just avoided a lawsuit or whatever. But anyways, thank you so much for watching so far, and I don't know, I hope this has been entertaining or interesting or something, I don't know. Also, maybe I don't care. Actually, I do kind of care, but don't tell anyone.